What's up again, guys? Brian here, 3TR, and I got another episode of People's Questions for you, episode 89. Now, as I'm sure you can tell from the timeline, this is going to be a somewhat big episode, so I've actually left a question guide in the description down below in case you want to just jump to your question in particular. And the two first questions come from TocoCommand91, and you had two questions, and you also sent in a third one dealing with boobs and booty. And I'm not going to answer that one because you sent in 3 instead of 2, but the 2 that you did send were, first one was Power Rangers versus Transformers, who would win? Well, let's do this in forms. Do the Power Rangers have their... Put it this way. Power Rangers without their morphers versus Transformers, Transformers win. Power Rangers with their morphers and powers against Transformers, Transformers would win. Now, Power Rangers with their Megazord versus Transformers, I'd say Power Rangers would come up top just barely. So, 2-1, Transformers win. Next question, Kratos versus the X-Men. Who would win? Well, as powerful as Kratos is, he can be beaten by overwhelming force. As I'm sure you can tell from the games, if you're attacked by too many enemies, don't get enough, health magic, you can be killed. And it'll say Kratos is dead. And the fact that the X-Men have had extensive experience taking on Apocalypse, and I would even say that Apocalypse is a 10 times more powerful god than Kratos ever was, I don't think the X-Men would have a very difficult time with Kratos. They're just too diverse with all their powers, and Kratos really can only defend himself against so much. So Kratos would lose, X-Men would win. Next two questions come from Criticism Guy 2009, and you want to know, what are my thoughts on the final episode of Breaking Bad? Well, this is going to sound kind of shocking. I never saw Breaking Bad. It didn't seem like a show I'd be interested in, and so I avoided it, and so I can't really say anything on the final episode. I'm sorry. Next question was, what was the first viral video I ever saw on YouTube or another site? I know the first viral video I saw had to have been probably my freshman year of high school, because that's when I first discovered YouTube. And if I had to pick, it would have been something on video games, and the only trailer that I can remember pretty well that I used to watch a lot was the Devil May Cry 3 trailer. Everything about that trailer was awesome. The overall look of Devil May Cry 3 at the time was great, the music was phenomenal, the combat system looked phenomenal, and to this day it still stands as my favorite Devil May Cry of all time. So if I had to make a good guess, it would have been Devil May Cry 3 E3 trailer. The next question comes from Nick Smith, and you want to know, what do I think is the best TV series? I don't know. That's really not something I can just pick one for. So if you tell me in the comments down below, I'll be more than happy to do a top 10 best TV shows list. That I'm sure I could come up with, but coming up with one I think is just kind of impossible. Next two questions come from Arcio Newbie. Sorry if I butchered your name. It goes by Arcio39, and your first question was, how is my epic sex life? Well, Arcio39, the problem with that question is that the section of Vegas that I live in is kind of cut off from the rest of the city, and despite the fact that I'm 23, single, have a roof under my head, have my own job, and am able to buy my own games, console systems, TVs, and all these great things, is that I just am not in an area that really allows me the opportunity to meet people to have an experience with. I mean, as many hot girls that walk into my store every day, I can't really go up and flirt with them. I'm on multiple cameras, and if I'm caught, I could be immediately fired. So it's not a chance that I'm willing to take. I'll feel more safer with this probably if I move to another area, which I'm planning on, but as of now, situation just doesn't allow me to have that kind of lifestyle. Next question is, who do I like more, Kanye or Jay-Z? Well, I don't really listen to either one of them now, but I do remember I used to listen to a bit of Jay-Z in high school. Then I grew up, and I realized I just didn't like his music all that much anymore. So, Jay-Z back in 2004 or 2008, I guess, is your answer. Next two questions come from Mike Stylez, and your first question was, what was the funniest co-op game me and my brother ever played together? Co-op. I know my bro's probably watching this video, so this is going to be a bit hard. My best guess, because I have very good memories of this, is remember, bro, when you used to come over to the house and we used to sit in Dad's big-ass chair that at the time we were both kind of small, and we used to play Math Blaster all the time, kind of, around the time period where, the school boards actually cared about making educational fun to learn, so we would actually want to learn it better. So my best guess was probably Math Blaster. I mean, technically that's not a co-op game, but the fact that we used to play it together kind of has a co-op feel to it. But in terms of co-op, I think we may have played some Resident Evil, but I wouldn't say those were the funniest. I would say we had a pretty good time because we had each other's back pretty well, just like we do in real life. Next question is my thoughts on the governmental shutdown. I really don't dwell too much in politics. I just kind of know what I need to know to get by, and you know, obviously it's not a good thing. I think that if it stays shut down for too much longer, it may cause some serious problems in the long term. Hopefully the politicians and Democrats and Republicans will stop, put their egos aside, and think about the best things for the country and revise the governmental system back to its normal state and hopefully work for the better. Next two questions come from Galen429, and your first question is, Hans Zimmerman or John Williams, the God, who's better? That's a really good question. If I had to be honest, I like Hans Zimmerman's music a lot more. I mean, I just finished playing Beyond Two Souls, and it's phenomenal, by the way, and I'll have my review of that coming up soon. But John Williams' music is more iconic, so they kind of balance each other's out. I don't like listening to John Williams' music as much, but I can recognize that more people will recognize it more. I will openly go out and buy official soundtracks to movies if Hans Zimmerman actually did that, the score for it. So it's kind of tie, in my opinion. Next question is, who do I think should direct the next Star Trek film? I personally don't care who directs it as long as they have a background showing that they can actually develop characters and have good action scenes and actually shoot them well. None of that shaky cam crap or, you know, rush character development to the point where we don't have enough time to really get to know the character or emotionally invest in that character. So as long as the director has a background of being able to do those two things, I don't really care. And the final two questions come from TrueSSG, and you want to know, do I think it's possible for Batman to exist in the real world? Kind of like how the Nolan films projected him. I don't think that's possible in our real world, simply because the idea of people dressing up in costumes and beating up people is kind of a ridiculous idea. Despite the fact that Nolan films projected that quite well, I don't think that that world established that there were even comic books. So the fact that we live in a world in which everyone is familiar with the formula for comic books and comic book characters and what they do, it kind of makes it unlikely that anyone would actually want to realistically want to bring that to real life. So even if someone had the money, resources, the training ability, I would say they would probably lower themselves to maybe a private soldier, maybe a mercenary, or a gun for hire. I think that's the closest we would get to someone trying to do what Batman does, but in the real world. But I can't see them actually dressing up and actually going out in crime and taking people down. And the last question of this episode is, would I ever consider taking a college course on Batman? You know, that is the dumbest question I've ever heard. You want to know why? You really think someone like me, a Batman fan, is going to take a course on Batman? I'm not going to attend a class for Batman. I'm going to teach the class on Batman. You really think some old geezer is going to tell me things about Batman I don't already know? Look at this. I wear a Batman mask. I will teach the class. I will teach you about Batman, and I will teach the rest of my viewers about Batman if they want. But, good question though. And with that, that is all the questions you guys sent in this week. Now, I actually did get another question from my bro to ask all you guys out there. And as soon as I pull it up here on my phone, since I was not able to have time to type it down because I've been really busy with Beyond Two Souls. And basically, the question that he sent me to ask you guys all out there was, let me see. Okay. Have you or I ever woken up by talking in your sleep or laughing? So basically, have I ever woken up and realized that I was talking to myself? Well, I talk to myself when I'm awake, but I guess maybe if I had a bad dream and I woke up and I was immediately talking about it thinking I was still in the dream, I guess that'd be the best example. What about you guys? Has that ever happened to you guys? And with that, that is all the questions for this episode of Other People's Questions. If you guys enjoyed it, please press the like button down below, and please also subscribe so you can keep track of my future episodes of the People's Questions. And if you're new to this channel, please, you can type in any question in the description down below. They'll be on anything as long as you keep them 2 per person so that I can get to everyone in a good amount of time. And if you would also like, you can also press one of the links in the description down below, and you can follow me on Twitter or friend me on Facebook. I will friend you and follow you back. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.